Apyayantu mamangani pakranasyakshushrutramatho balamindriyani cha sarvani sarvam brahma upanishadam maham brahma nirakuryam mama brahma nirakarut anirakaranamastu anirakaranam me astu tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmas te mai santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May quietness descend upon my limbs, my speech, my breath, my eyes, my ears. May all my senses wax clear and strong. May Brahman show himself unto me. May I never deny Brahman nor Brahman me. I with him and he with me. May we abide always together. May there be revealed to me, who am devoted to Brahman, the holy truth of the Upanishads. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. This morning our subject is Thoughts on the Gita, part 58. Gita actually means song, and it is called Bhagavad Gita. It is not an ordinary song, a song sung by God. Who listened to this song? Arjuna, an ideal man and the great hero. Both Krishna and Arjuna are incarnations of Naro and Narayana, who are sages in the previous incarnation, and Krishna represents cosmic soul, Arjuna represents individual soul. How these two souls communicate, man and God, how do they communicate? That we find in the Gita. All great truths are expressed through poetry. Upanishads are all in poetry. Most of them are in poetry. That is why Gita is called Song Celestial. Gita is the quintessence of the Upanishads or Vedanta. In the eulogy of the Gita, we find a verse. Sarva Upanishado Gabo Dogdha Gopalanandana Partho Vatsa Sudhir Pokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat. The Upanishads are as a herd of cows. Krishna, the son of a cowherd, is the milker. Arjuna is the calf. The supreme ambrosia of the Gita, the milk, and the wise man, the drinker. It is a beautiful analogy. Gita is non-denominational, non-sectarian, universal scriptures. It is timeless. Truth, as I always tell you, never becomes old. Truth is always new and fresh. Please remember when this Gita was taught, there was no Buddhism, no Christianity, no Islam, no other religions in the world. At the same time, this Gita taught the universality, harmony of different faiths. Ye yathamam prapadyante tang stataiva vajamyam mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. People worship me according to their own mental makeup, aptitude, temperaments. Oh, but all people worship me. The Hindus, the Christians, Muslims, Jews, all people are worshipping God. But God is one. There are not two gods. That Krishna said. When people say, my God, your God, we laugh. As in my father, your mother, his father, his mother. God is one. That Vedanta teaches. See our sign, truth is one. Sages call it by various names. Human beings have problems. The basic problems, delusion, confused, fear, lust, anger, jealousy, ego, these are all problems. Those problems exist from the very beginning of creation. Don't think that Jesus' time, 2000 years, there was adultery, lie, untruth, jealousy. Still those things are there, are in human mind. They are ancient. Human beings are the victims of these problems. We need a person who can remove our problems. We need a good troubleshooter. So Krishna came forward to shoot the trouble of Arjuna, who was submerged in grief, confusion, faint-heartedness, fear. Krishna was his well-wisher, friend, cousin, disciple. Arjuna was his disciple. So, and this Gita was set up at the battlefield. Human life means a struggle. Struggle begins the moment we come out from the womb of our mother. We started to throw our hands and feet, that little baby. Means, why am I here? Why am I in this world? The child revolts, rebels. Arjuna came to fight for dharma, righteousness. All of a sudden he became fearful and confused. Krishna removed his fear and confusion in 3 hours. If you read the Gita, there are only 700 verses. It takes only 3 hours. Same way, if you read the Bible, only what Christ said, red letter Bible, it takes only 2.5 hours. When you are depressed or confused, please go to your room, shut the door, read Gita or the Bible, 3 hours, see whether it works or not. Just read aloud. It will work. I sometimes say, if you go and watch ball game there, you can sit 3-4 hours, you don't get tired. Or you go to a movie, long movie, you don't get tired. And if you read Gita or the Bible 3 hours, you will not die. Gita works as an antibiotic of human maladies. It must work. We chant 10 verses of the Gita every morning in our shrine, except Sunday. I feel freshness of the eternal truth. It helps me to understand myself and tell me what I'm supposed to do. Gita tells us, yajna, sacrifice your ego and selfishness. Purify yourself through worship and meditation. Discipline yourself and dedicate yourself for the good of humanity. Surrender yourself to God, and God will take care of you. Gita is called Moksha Shastra, a scripture for liberation. It makes people strong, fearless, and awakens their souls. Krishna says, those who think of me with one-pointedness, with one-pointed mind, those who think of me always, Tasam Shulabha Partha, I am easily available to them. He is telling, I am God, how you can reach me, how you can attain me. This is the way. Think of me. This thinking is meditation, which I are going to speak. This is the introduction of the thoughts on the Gita. Chapter 6, verse 15. Jujnanevam sadatmanam yoginiyatamanasa shantim nirvana paramam matsamodhigachyati. The soul is keeping the mind steadfast. The yogi of subdued mind attains the peace residing in me, the peace which culminates in nirvana. Our goal, nirvana. I went to Japan, so my guide was telling, Swami, we get married in the Shinto temple, but we like to die in Buddhist temple, because there we will get nirvana. Not a bad idea. Just enjoy yourself and then finally come to Buddha for nirvana. This word nirvana has several meanings. Ni means not. Bana means movement, coming and going. No more coming and going, no more birth and death. That is nirvana, means liberation. Nirvana means extinguishment of the lamp. Just imagine, here is an oil lamp, here is the wick. Whole night this lamp was burned. The entire oil is consumed. No more oil is there. So this lamp automatically extinguishes. That is called nirvana. Do you know what that means? It means you have no more desires. No more desires means you will be liberated. Nirvanam, Shankara mentioned moksha, liberation. Natesto prana utkramanti brahmaiva sambrahmyapiti. When you will die, your prana will never go. It will dissolve here. You will merge into Brahman. That is nirvana. Obstacles, many obstacles to attain nirvana. Desire, doubts, lust, anger, so many obstacles. The moment you start your journey to attain nirvana, the first stage, no problem. That means you gathered yourself, you discipline yourself to some extent. Then comes obstacles, temptations, money, worldly enjoyments, all name, fame, all will grab you. Enjoy yourself. Don't go further. That is the second stage. Pratham kalpika madhubhumika. Third stage called prajna jyoti. If you can overcome that temptation, do you know what will happen? Prajna jyoti. You will get X-ray vision. You can see what is coming on. You can see good and bad. Most people don't. Confused. Prajna jyoti. His vision, inner vision will open. Fourth stage, Otikranta Bhavaniya. Nothing will disturb you at all. At that time, your plane is 4,000 feet above. The clouds and rain, all these things are not there. You are flying through sunshine, no bump. That is called Otikranta Bhavaniya. You are above this mental problem, mental plane. Jinjanivam sadatmanam yogi niyatamanasa. You say niyata manusha. Niyata manusha means disciplined. Some people want to attain nirvana without practicing discipline. It will not work. Think of that. You go become a doctor, going to medical school. How many years? Internship, this, that, then specialization. Oof, so many, 9, 10 hours you spent for this kind of discipline, study. Otherwise, you cannot be a good doctor. Discipline. That is very, very important in spiritual life. Discipline. First, character. Control your senses. Control your mind. Stop your outgoing tendencies. Try to see within. There is a great universe inside us, but we do not see it. Swami Vivekananda's vision. Microcosm and macrocosm are built in the same pattern. I experienced it. In other words, Paramam Shantim, supreme peace. Aridike Nirvana, moksha, and Ananda, bliss. These three things more or less same. Peace, bliss, and liberation. These three things more or less same. If you cannot, freedom, same. If you are not free, you have no joy. You have no joy, you have no peace. These are all same, more or less. Then we shall have to discipline ourselves if we want nirvana. Now I shall read the introduction of the next verse, discipline. Now certain directions are given if you want to achieve success in this path. India has seen people doing all sorts of austerities like fasting for a long time, standing on one leg in the hot sun, or kept the body in the cold water, hold some hours. Even Christian mystics in the early period have done a lot of such austerities. And the greatest teachers have said that these are useless and meaningless. There have been Christian mystics who have constantly beaten their body with sticks just to go beyond body consciousness. But the greatest teachers never allowed this kind of senseless physical mortification. So a serene attitude in spiritual life has to come through yoga. It came through Buddha. He also did a lot of mortification, like fasting, and became very weak. Then after taking food given by a girl, Sujata, he sat in meditation to realize the truth. Ultimately, we find in Buddha's address to his disciple, I found in the beginning, everybody was undergoing physical mortification. I too fasted for long, and one day I want to stand up. I had no strength, and I fell down. I touched my belly here in the front, and I could feel my backbone. So weak I had become. Then the thought came to me, what a foolish thing I am doing. This body is the only instrument I have with which I can realize the highest truth. I am weakening it. I am doing something very wrong. No, I shall do it. I shall not do it. Then came the great message, Madhya Pantha, the middle path. Neither too much austerity, not too much sensory indulgence, but the middle path. Most of the time you have to devote yourself to spiritual practice, that is Madhya Pantha, which later on Buddha expounded to his 5 disciples in Saranath after his enlightenment. One word I forgot to tell you in the previous verse. Krishna, you use the word matstham odhigacchati. This nirvana is in me. This peace residing in me. Do you know what does it mean? It means if you really want to attain nirvana and peace, you need God's grace. Self-effort will not work. It will work to some extent, but you need God's grace. We realize God by the grace of God. Now, about physical discipline. Buddha gave an analogy of the veena, a musical instrument, a string instrument, like guitar. If it is too loose, it will not bring the sound, right sound. If it is too tight, it will not bring the right sound. You will have to tune it. That is very, very important in spiritual life. How to tune it. Some people's body may take a lot of austerity, some people's body cannot. According to, that is the beauty of Vedanta. Vedantic disciplines differ from person to person. It is not common prayer, you go to the church and kneel down and pray. All people say the same prayer. That is not possible in Vedanta. You are very emotional, you have one path. You are very active, you have one path. You are very rational, you have one path. You are mystical, meditative person, you have another path. According to your temperament, spiritual discipline differs, varies. So, Krishna Buddha says Madhyapantha. Madhyapantha means follow the middle path. Not too much austerity, your body, your mind will be in the physical plane. And too much luxury, that also will ruin you. It will not work. You will lead an easy-going, comfortable life. That is an obstacle. I remember once in Santa Barbara, a girl came for an interview. What are you doing? I am fasting 21 days. 21 days you are fasting, yes. What do you eat? Just a little fruit juice and a little water. Why? I committed sin. I felt so bad. Her face became blue, eyes. I entered the socket. I said, you are torturing Christ. God is crying inside you. You don't see him? The Christ inside your heart is crying. You go, eat food. First, give some food to your body. Purity, impurity, God's grace, you know, that those things will go away. Don't worry about that. Don't kill yourself. Some people want to torture their bodies that way. They think this is the way I shall get rid of sin. You know what Sri Ramakrishna said? His exact word, Kolite moner pap noy. In this Kali Yuga, if you have a bad thought, that is not a sin. We find in the Lolita Vistara, Buddha's biography. See, if you go to some museum, you can see that drawing, that picture of Buddha. All ribs are visible. Only skin is there. His stomach, there is no, just skin and bone. Eyes, just like a skull. And some coward boys are throwing stones toward him, thinking that he was a bull, is a ghost. Oof, that vivid description of Lolita Vistara, if you read, you will be amazed how much austerity he practiced. Then, as I read to you, one day he took bath in the Niranjana river and fell down. And a coward girl saw from a distance, brought some rice pudding and fed Buddha and brought back life to him. And then he talked about it, follow the middle path. Now the verse begins. Natyashnatastu yogosti na chaikantam anashnatah na chati swapnashilasya jagrato naiva charjuna. Success in yoga is not for the person who eats too much or does not eat at all for long periods, nor, O Arjuna, for one who sleeps too much or keeps awake for long. If you really want to learn how to meditate, keep two places calm, stomach and head. If your head and the stomach are not calm, you cannot meditate. In our Ayurvedic literature, there are 3 words used about food: hitabhuk, mitabhuk, ritabhuk. Hitabhuk means eat that food which is nutritious and healthy. Mitabhuk means measured. Don't indulge too much food. Eat that quantity which you can digest. You don't have to eat up to this. And the third, ritabhuk. Ritabhuk means timely. You condition your stomach that I shall give breakfast at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, lunch at 1 o'clock, dinner at 7 o'clock. You must maintain your schedule about food. It is extremely important. Really, it is extremely important. I remember we had a Swami. He was a great eater. Sometimes we have some feast in the monastery. And he ate so much, he could not get up by himself. So he was repeating that mantra which Buddha recited, that let my body and flesh and bone fall apart here, without attaining Nibbana I shall not move. That means I cannot get up, brothers please help. So 2 persons will go and put their hands below your elbow and lift him up. Don't eat that much. Sri Ramakrishna mentioned to his nephew, khali pete dharma hai na. Religion cannot be practiced by empty stomach. If you are fasting, you will get a spasm in your stomach, hunger pain. You cannot concentrate on God. Just eat a small quantity. He told that before you perform worship, drink a little sharbat. Cool your system first before you practice meditation. And some people meditate after full stomach. It will not work. Meditation should be practiced when stomach is empty. Chitam rasam jite sarve. The person who has controlled the tongue, controlled other senses. I shall read a few things from my Guru's Guru, Swami Chetanananda ji, answered about food. During spiritual disciplines, it is better to have little discrimination about food. Some kinds of food increase sleepiness and should be avoided. It is not good to eat too many sweets, sour, pickles, or urud lentils. These foods increase tamas in the body, which means more laziness and more sleep. It is almost impossible for a man of tamasic nature to practice sadhana. Eat that food which is easily digestible. Never fill your stomach more than 2/3 with food. This will increase your strength and energy. If you overload your stomach, most of your energy will be consumed in digesting the food. Moreover, gas will form in the abdomen, and this will make you uncomfortable. But this will not happen if 1/3 of your stomach is empty. A healthy body is very helpful for sadhana. What dietary rules should a person follow? Swami Brahmananda. It is a very difficult question and it is hard to answer. People differ widely in their constitutions, so it is not possible to lay down any hard and fast rule about food. One kind of food may agree with my system, but not with yours. For this reason, the scriptures did not give specific instructions about food. The reference of food in the Bhagavad Gita is not specific. It gives only a general classification. On the whole, it can be said, however, that rich food should be avoided and that one should choose one's food according to one's power of assimilation. Question. Isn't it cruel for a man to eat meat and fish? Brahmananda. Nonsense. The scriptures say non-violence is a great virtue. This experience comes when a person attains samadhi, the knowledge of oneness, and sees God in everything. Until then, mere talk about ahimsa, non-violence, is meaningless. You will be established in ahimsa when you realize that the same Atman resides in you as well as in the little ant, and that there is no difference between the two of you. You are talking about non-violence, but truly speaking, can you avoid violence? What should you eat? Potatoes. Plant a potato ground underground, it shoots forth young sprouts. Has the potato no life? Should you eat rice? Plant and paddy grain in the ground, it grows into a rice plant. Does it not have any life? You want to drink water. Examine a drop of water through a microscope. You see how many millions of tiny lives are there. You must breathe to live, yet with every breath you kill millions of microbes. You don't feel bad killing all these lives, but you think you will lose your religion if you eat a piece of fish. He gave a good answer. About food. About sleep. Some people sleep too much. I remember when I was in Hollywood, a monk went to see Brother Sun and Sister Moon. That is a movie on St. Francis of Assisi. He felt so much renunciation, he threw away all beds and lying down on the wooden planks. Then came to me, Swami, I have terrible body pain, I cannot cook. Then I heard that what is the cause of the body pain. I have terrible body ache, Swami, I cannot cook. I heard that, Uncle, what are you doing? Well, I am in bed. 16 hours in bed. Uncle, my goodness, what is this? You stop with that kind of practice. You think that overnight you want to be St. Francis of Assisi. Just see, he was wanting to see the movie and imitating St. Francis. It will not work. One Ayurvedic scripture says about food, half with food, 1/4 with water, 1/4 should be kept empty so that the wind, air can pass, can move. You know, these scriptures, I was telling that the American tradition, Thanksgiving Day, eat. Perhaps American people should introduce another tradition. Next day, fast. That will equalize, you know. Thursday, last Thursday of November, eat. Next day, fast. Stomach also needs some rest. Sleep. How much time should one devote to sleep? Brahmananda replied, ordinarily, for a healthy person, 4 hours sleep is quite sufficient. Some may need 1 or 2 hours more. To sleep more than 5 hours is a disease. Too much sleep does not give the body rest. On the contrary, it does harm to the body. It is not good for an aspirant to waste time in sleep. You are young. This is the best time to train the mind. Later, you will get plenty of time to sleep. So often, when a person is asked to practice sadhana, he immediately raises a number of lame excuses. He says that this body will not be able to bear such a strain, that it needs more rest, and so on. Such an insincere person seeks only rest and comfort without doing anything. If one practices japa and meditation sincerely, one's senses and nerves move in a very rhythmic way, and as a result, 4 hours sleep is sufficient. Generally, most people lead irregular lives, and their bodies and minds are so tired that they do not get rest even after 8 or 10 hours sleep. Try to regulate your life like a clock. Regulation will keep the body and mind fresh. Do something. What will you gain by only asking questions if you do not practice what I say? Sleep. Jagroto. I remember once I went to see Grand Canyon, North Rim. So I was coming through Nevada. So we had a lunch time, so we stopped in Las Vegas. So I asked my friend, I want to see a casino. I have never seen casino in my life. I want to see a casino. So he took me to a casino, and adjacent to the casino there is a eating place, big place for food. $3. Eat as much as you can and variety of food and free drink. So I was telling George, these people are going to lose money. Well, Swami, here they will lose money, and in the casino they will make money. And 24 hours, they have no day and night. Whole big place, dark, and people coming and going. They do not sleep. They are great yogis, you see. Then I said, it is not a slot machine, it is a slaughter machine. Funny. Yuktahara viharasya yukta chestasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yoga bhavati dukkha. To one who is temperate in eating and recreation, in the effort for work and in sleep and wakefulness, yoga becomes the destroyer of misery. Yoga bhavati dukkha. That is a very beautiful expression. Dukkha means destroys suffering. Ha means destroyer. It destroys dukkha, suffering. Yoga, if you practice right, it will destroy your suffering. It is a great statement of the Gita. Be moderate, be temperate. What a beautiful statement. How much of sane logic you find in the statement. Moderate in food and recreation, moderate in engagement of work. Always being engaged in work is not good, and laziness is not good. Moderate in sleep and in waking. To such a person, yoga becomes the remover of all sorrow. The little sleep is very important. Sri Ramakrishna does not need sleep. 2 hours enough for him. Why? Most of the time he's in Samadhi. If you attain Samadhi, you feel so much rest, peace, no discomfort in the system. One of his disciples went and fell asleep in the evening. Sri Ramakrishna scolded him. You have come here to realize God, you are sleeping in the evening? I don't need your service, you go. Master, please help me. Give me a chance. And then, 3 months, the disciple fought against sleep and conquered sleep. All through his life, he never slept at night. Practiced meditation. Daytime, he took some rest, but nighttime, no rest. Because his guru scolded him. And some people are workaholic. I remember a man who was here. He used to work in a big company. He used to work 16, 17 hours a day, 7 days a week. I asked him why. Well, Swami, I am alone, sitting in the apartment. What shall I do? So I go to work. I get $50 per hour. He's an engineer. So I just make money. Money is not the goal. The money he spent for, the money which he acquired by this using hours after hours in the office, when that person's health will break down, that whole money will go to take care of that sick body. That is the way it works. A true yogi is just a normal, healthy human being. Only his or her search is for something deeper, and it is inward, not outward. Outward dimension one has finished. One has discharged all other one's responsibilities. He or she has a family, gave in marriage all the children, and is free now. Then one can resort to the yoga as the greatest experience of one's life. Yuktahara viharasya yukta chestasya karmasu. Ahar, food. Food plays a very important role in a spiritual life. It is in the Upanishad. Ahara shuddhau sattva shuddhi sattva shuddhau dhruva smriti smriti lambe sarva granthinam vipra moksha. Ahar, food. Food has two meanings. Food which you eat through the mouth, and food means which you gather through all the senses. Through the eyes, through the ears, through the nose. We are continuously gathering food which goes to the mind. So if all of your senses bring all good things and go to the mind, ahara shuddhau sattva shuddhi, your sattva means your mind is bound to be pure. And when the mind becomes pure, do you know what does it do? It thinks constantly about God. Pure mind only thinks about God. Impure mind thinks about sense objects. Sattva shuddha dhruva smriti. You will get constant recollectedness of God. Then what happens next? Sarva grunthinam vipra moksha. You will be liberated. Day and night, if you think of God, you will merge into God. Upanishad tells us. Ramanuja, another commentator, says food can be polluted in 3 ways. Jati dosha, nimitta dosha, ashraya dosha. Jati dosha means there are some kinds of food are not very good for a spiritual life. Too much garlic, too much red meat or some other food which is very heavy. You have to understand, the person who is driving the bulldozer or digging with a jackhammer, he needs that kind of heavy food. But if you practice spiritual disciplines and if you do too much mental or intellectual work, you don't need that kind of heavy food. You need light food, easily digestible. That kind of food is needed for the spiritual seekers. So, jati dosha. You must see what this specific, some certain kinds of food. It is polluted. That food, sometimes, old, stale food. Jati dosha. Ashraya dosha. Food coming from a person. That person is not clean. I went to a place to see how they make donut. That one girl is making donut, he is blowing the nose and with the same hand, without washing the hand, he is making it. Oof, I shall not eat donut. It happened in Oakland, in Berkeley. I went to a place to see a donut place. Nimitta dosha. Nimitta dosha is, suppose on the food, some flies, if you see on the street food in India or Mexico, don't eat from the street food. Sands, dust, all flies, all these things are sitting and you are eating that food. That is not good. This is the way the foods get polluted. The spiritual seeker should not eat that kind of food. Sri Ramakrishna did not care for fasting, I already told you. His suggestion to his disciples, daytime, have a full stomach. Nighttime, light supper. Otherwise, you cannot meditate long hours. If your stomach is full, you will feel sleepy. That much about food. In the 17th chapter of the Gita, Krishna mentioned Sattvic food, Rajasic food, Tamasic food. Discipline. So, about food and sleep, rest, Krishna already told us what to do. Now, meditate. Yada viniyatam chittam atmanneva avatishtati nispriya sarvakami bhujukta ittichyate tada. When the completely controlled mind rests serenely in the self alone, free from longing after all desires, then is one called steadfast in the self. Viniyatam chittam. The mind can be said to be yukta, established in yoga. When viniyatam chittam, the mind is controlled, which has been disciplined, remains only in the Atman, not going here and there, then we can say that the mind is yukta. It has achieved yoga. This is the first statement. Then, no external desires come and disturb the mind. It is absolutely established in itself. Yukta ittu chate tada. Then it is said to be yukta, united with God. Nispriyo sarvo kamibho. That is a very beautiful word of Krishna. Nispriyo. No more desires. Well, Swami, what will happen on Black Friday? I was reading this newspaper today. They said they sold $11 billion this year, only one day, all over this country. $11 billion of merchandise. We need our economy must move to create more desires. If everybody's become nispriya, then it will not work either. Don't worry. There are some people who will be full of desires. If you and me, if we are desireless, the world will not collapse. Sarvo kamibhu. Detachment, renunciation comes in the 4 stages. Drishto anusharviko vishayo pitrishnaisya. Drishto means the thing which I see, perceive, touch. Anusharviko means heavenly desires, enjoyments. These 2 things do not attract the minds of the yogi. Boshikar, he has control over the mind, desires. I remember when I first came, one New York Swami gave me a sweater, Los Angeles Swami gave me a sweater. I did not have sweater at all. So Christmas time, the Santa Barbara nuns gave me a sweater. So I returned to them. I have 2 sweaters, I don't need anymore. Then the monk who is in the monastery, who was my caretaker, he says, Swami, the nuns are very upset. You rejected their gift. I told him, hey, Ralph, I have already 2. Why should I have more? Swami, you don't understand. He was my American guru, you know. Swami, you don't understand. The nuns are very upset. They, you just arrived in this country, so they presented you a sweater. You are supposed to receive. Then he explained, Swami, you will travel 3 places, Hollywood, Trabuco, Santa Barbara. So you need 3 sweaters, 3 sets of toothbrush and toothpaste. You need 3 sets of clothing and books so that you will not have to carry all the time. This American boy is very practical. He was my American guru, you know, how to live in this country. Then I went to the convent and asked the head nun, please give me the sweater. I was suffering from renunciation. Then they gave me sweater. Now I can, when in India I did not have much clothing at all. Now when I see my closet, I think I shall take sannyas, monastic vows again and renounce. You go and check your closet. How many things you have? And still you go on the line and buy more. Too much. If you have extra money, give to the poor. Next verse. Yatha dipo nibatasto nengate sopama smrita yoginu jata chittasta junjato yoga atmanaha. As a lamp in the spot sheltered from the wind does not flicker, even such has been the simile used for a yogi of subdued mind practicing concentration in the self. It is a beautiful simile or an analogy. In India, when we perform any kind of ritual, we keep a jak pradip. Do you know what jak pradip means? Here is a earthen or some kind of big vessel, and this much is opening. Below, there is a little sand. Over that sand, they put an oil lamp. And there is a flame. That flame does not flicker, because wind cannot come from the sides. Up, little opening is there. That means if the flame is extinguished, that means it is very inauspicious for you. As long as the ritual continues, that flame should be there. That is called Jak Pradip. So that is the Indian custom. So here Krishna says, your mind just like the unflickering flame of a lamp. When you meditate, when the mind is very restless, just think about it. My mind should be like unflickering flame of a lamp. And sometimes when I sit in the shrine and I watch the two candle lights, those sometimes one flickers, one does not flicker, But it flickers, that is the example that your mind should not flicker. As an oil lamp which is kept in a place free from wind is absolutely steady in its flame, such is the example of that mind which has become steady, that is without any fluctuation. The yoga state is compared to the state of a steady flame. When you see the flame moving all the time, it is because there is wind all around and it is influenced by all those wind currents. But when it is put in a place where external influences cannot touch, it remains absolutely steady. That is the nature of the human mind in the state of yoga, absolutely steady. It is a very difficult process. A long training is needed, and yet it is not unattainable. It has been attained by people, and anyone can attain to yoga. And Sri Krishna will tell us in a series of verses the nature of that meditation and the result of that meditation or yoga. Mind. There are 5 stages of the mind. First stage of the mind is called Kshipta, restless mind. All is restless, moving very fast. If the mind is too fast, you are sick. If mind is too slow, that is also you are sick. Mind should be in the medium places, medium way. Vikshipta. Vikshipta means sometimes it sits on the good place, sometimes sits in the bad place, like a fly. Sometimes it sits on the food, sometimes it sits on the filth. So a human mind is sometimes good, bad, continuously jumping. Vikshipta, mood, stupid mind, dull, sleepy, mind is not working. Just like after hangover, mind is not working. Confused. What? Several times, what? Cannot understand. That is called moodhu mind. Fourth, ekagra, one-pointed mind. All knowledge comes through human knowledge comes through concentration. Fifth, niruddha mind, subdued, controlled mind. These are the 5 stages of the mind. Krishna will talk about it, how to deal with this mind, how to make the mind healthy. Do you know what? Sometimes you can practice it. If you can 3 minutes or 5 minutes, if you can hold the mind in a particular place, mind will come down. We do not know how to focus it. Hold on. Through willpower, you can do it. We shall talk about it, how to control the mind through willpower and through love. The person you love or the food you eat, you think about that person and plus hours go away without notice. Why? Because you love. Love brings concentration. If you love God, if you love your chosen deity, you will see that you forgot the space, you forgot the time. The day we get good meditation in the shrine, I do not know how long I was seated there. I do not know where I am. When I come back from meditation, deep meditation, then I look around. That means I had a very good meditation. Which we can talk about it, how to go deep and deep inside. Then only you will get Paramanirvanam, that great supreme peace, bliss, freedom, and joy. Thank you. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु कश्चित् मा दुःखभाग् भवेत् सज्ज दुर्जनो सज्जनो भूयात् सज्जनो शान्तिमप्नुयात् शान्तमुच्चेत वन्देभ्यो मुक्तस्य नन् विमोचयेत्. May all be happy. May all be free from disease. May all realize what is good. May none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous. May the virtuous attain tranquility. May the tranquil be free from bonds. And may the freed make others free. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, 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 and all.